anybody that champ right now. We see the Xin Zhao ban come out. BLG did not look comfortable with Xin Zhao yesterday. It felt like they were pretty behind the 8-ball when they tried to play through that. But the Vi and the Nefiri were permanently banned against BLG through all of yesterday. That's going to carry through. I imagine this will be... Rumble is left up, but so is Gwen, so could very much be a trade of some AP top laners there if they want to go that direction. But Rumble for Bin gives him a way to continue to be active in a side lane, but also make a lot of impacts in a team fight. We didn't see it executed perfectly yesterday, but, you know, Bin is a very good player. I think it's nice to have a priority pick like this.
True. As immediately the Pantheon Talia locked in, I like this combo from these two.
Yeah, you want to play the map. I mean, this is, again, we wanted to see what FPX wanted to do. We called out that they had a couple of different pathways they could go here and draft, and they go for their style. The Pantheon Talia, their most played jungle mid duo the entire split up until this point. It's very, very comfortable for Shadow and Care. Beishwan hovering that Skarner, it is going to be locked. That was what he looked great on yesterday. It's what he got his MVP on yesterday, and Skarner's just such an easy champ to really execute with what seems to be a lot of, you know, press R potential here from the rest of the comp.
Yeah, immediately I'm trying to think of a cool name to give the Rumble Skarner Misfortune combo, because that's a heck of a wombo combo for BLG. I mean, if Beishwan can find that at least setup for Bin and for Elk, they'll have massive teamfight implications. But now we get the Gwen locked in for FPX, so throwing down the gauntlet a little bit and saying, if you let this Gwen get out of hand, this side lane, it can just fall away, and FPX can take advantage of that through Sheer.
Yeah, Sheer has been underratedly very good for FPX throughout a lot of this year. I think that there was some concern that maybe he wasn't going to be able to step in and perform the same way that he did on a very talented JD Gaming roster last year, but I think a lot of the positives that he showed in 2024 have carried over so far into 2025, which is nice. I'm interested to see where they put their pressure there, but we do see the expected mid lane bans coming out for FPX. It's just going to be things that, you know, kind of tear apart the overall macro idea that FPX is going for. So the Silas, an easy takeaway to not be able to match that Talia. It's actually going to be the Corki coming in as the second ban. I definitely expected, you know, perhaps a Ryze ban, or, you know, maybe even a Galio if you wanted to take that away. But wanting to take away a carry from Knight here.
Okay, trying to take some of the dual prong carries away. It's also going to be the Kaisa pan in the end towards Awesome. Take away some of that follow through with the Pantheon that has been so clinical from FPX. The Alistar is this first pick for FPX in the second phase. Now looking at the 1-2 answer from BLG in the second phase itself.
Yeah, I imagine you're looking at something to really set up this wombo combo, some sort of a big engage threat. Obviously, Rel would be good for the comp, not so good for the matchup, but oh my gosh.
Let's go! That's huge. That is absolute. Look at the smile on this devilish face, man. That is absolutely massive. In a series where we talked about the mid-jungle duo being super, super important, Knight whips out the Zed. I mean, if that's not a challenge, I don't know what is. He's going into Care's Talia, into something that's so comfort for FPX, and now it is going to be On's Rakan to tie things together for this composition. I'm excited for this game number one.
If you wanted as much hype as possible, here you go. Here's the excitement that you could, all the excitement you could ever need, right here with Knight playing Zed. We've seen some Zed pop up occasionally in pro play, oftentimes in the jungle though, so I'm excited to see a player like Knight who is starting to get hot at the right time. I'm excited to see him really throw down that challenge, but it's going to be an aggressive AD carry on the other side with the Lucian here. Wow, these are interesting.
I'm looking at it right now. This guy has been around since 2017. That's the first competitive Zed he's played, which is absolutely awesome. If I'm wrong, at me. I looked through the Wikipedia. If it's not there, I don't know. That is so damn awesome from Knight, and it's a changing of the pace. It's a changing of the moment for BLG. They're trying to strike when the iron's hot, when Beishwan comes in, when they energized by this new jungler. I do still really like the answer from FPX, and I really like the Lucian from Awesome.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun matchup, but I do think we're dividing these teams into quadrants here. I think a lot of early pressure can be expected from FPX. The Lucian really locks that in, but Awesome is going to have to play really well in this game to generate that early lead. You want that Pantheon Talia moving around the map. The more stagnant that they become, the more they give pressure over to BLG, or at least take neutral trades, the more I think that favors BLG. Their pick potential in the late game, and that Wombo combo with a Zed diving the backline, terrifying, especially with that talent. So I'm excited to see how they pull it off.
The golden left hand trying to pick up the slack himself now for BLG, but this is literally a rematch from earlier this week where FPX took down BLG. It signified the moment of change for BLG. Beichuan has come in. He won last night with BLG. Maybe this is the change they needed to right the ship in the second round robin here in Group Ascend. And as we crest over into our second series of the day, we've got an exciting one for game number 1. We'll see an important series between BLG and FPX here as the Spirit Blossom event has taken hold of the Rift. All the changes you could ask for in the most important times in the split here. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got Knights, Zed, we've got Cares, Talia, we've got all the focus on Beichuan if he really is the prodigy that BLG need to make a difference. Game 1 kicking off now.
This gorgeous new intro package for the new map as well. Oh, I'm so excited for this new patch, for the new map. I am pumped for this game. We are getting into it now.
Hopefully we're getting the gyos here very soon, but a little bit of delay there with the cool reveal of the map. And now everything's green and blue. Wow.
Yeah.
Only one.
I was
BLG for Bilibili Gaming. 1 Jio. Wow.
That really goes to show where they've been over the course of this year. I think maybe a lot of people who were excited about this team last year might be a little less excited this year, but they've got the chance to win them back here with the new roster change. We're seeing a little bit of trading go down, but I don't imagine too much happens here in the 2v2 at level 1. Talking about the early game and what to expect from these teams, though, again, I think the onus is more so on FunPlus to make a lot of things happen as early as possible. The later this goes, I think the scarier you start to feel around these ultimate engages, but some sums traded.
Exhaust burned early. The barrier also popped by Awesome, so a couple summoner spells there like you had said. We're trying to gain prio in this bot lane 2v2 as well, as it is going to be both junglers pathing away from here, so the lane lead that you get is going to be all yours, and that's why you grab the Misfortune.
Yeah, it's a very interesting trade. I think both preventative summoners being popped there just to make sure that no funny business ends up happening, but it's funny, I really don't think that any of these lanes are guaranteed to go one way or the other in terms of the 1v1 or 2v2 respectively. I think a lot of the early game is going to be decided by this pressure, Shadow. It's going to be really up to the Pantheon on what plays he wants to make, and he could be looking here early, but it's going to be the ward.
So, do you have any experience with the Zed versus Talia matchup? Do you know who wins out of the laning phase at least?
I'd like to believe this is close to even, at least from my perspective. Zed generally is going to have a lot of lane pressure, especially after level 3, and so you're definitely going to be worried about him, snowballing, especially if Beichuan wants to put pressure into that mid lane matchup. But isolated, I'm not sure that one is going to get a gigantic lead over the other. I would imagine Care's ultimate goal will be to move here, and that's exactly what it looks like he's going to do. Try to get some vision onto that Skarner.
We are just going to get the full clears coming out here from both junglers. And was talking with Azale earlier tonight from the LTA, and he was saying that maybe this opens up more paths early on for junglers to find avenues to make them a little bit more personal. And here, make it a little bit personal, but get Knight of all people even popping up the FPX logo. They find first blood.
Really proactive play made there by Shadow. It's a great use of the flash to be able to set Knight behind early. I think when you're talking about a potential even matchup, that's how you shift
there
it.
they
Here
go.
We go.
There's their own CC right back, and
Shadow.
Shadow will be answered to in kind. Beichuan coming up with BLG's first kill of the game.
excellent roam timer there from On. They have lane prio down in the 2v2, and so it's basically free for him to be able to move up. I don't think Shadow expected that Rakan to be able to make that play. At the end of the day, it is a 1-for-1 trade, but gold going into the pocket of Talia versus Skarner. I believe that to be at the advantage of BLG, at least quickly here in the early game. We're going to get a replay of exactly what happened in the mid lane. It's just a great gank here coming in from Shadow. Great pathing to perfectly avoid the vision, and then wait for the Zed to get out here.
Yeah, the stun coming through after the flash too. Feels a little bit bad there. See if they can continue this pressure though, as we've had the lane adaptation here even before the Grubs now spawning in 3 minutes at 8 minutes into the game. It looks like FPX wanted to switch out a little bit, so they will take the first step towards that. Elk and BLG will respond.
I was very curious to see if this was going to change coming into this patch, if we were going to see different timers in terms of the lane swap going to the top side. Doesn't seem like teams want to adapt too much. They're about 30 seconds behind what they were last patch, and so no major changes there, but it will just be more of the standard what we've seen from these two. I imagine this is still favored towards BLG in terms of their skirmish around this area, especially with Skarner having a bit more gold. I'm really going to be watching Knight, though. I think if he's not going to be able to get that push in the mid lane, and the Talia is going to be hitting that level 6 soon, then things can get interesting. But
try to go on to Elk here. He's got the Vampiric Scepter, though, able to heal a decent amount. On also going to take a huge amount of flack from Awesome. Things going to quiet down on that top side, but a little bit of pressure there. And these are the kinds of answers that we want to see coming through, and like the changes and what the meta is going to bring, because this Rift state is going to be very similar to what we've seen in the recent past here before all those big changes came through. And now On a little bit of recency here as FPX are going to find another kill into BLG, giving back memories from earlier this week when FPX beat BLG. And now they have a 2-to-1 kill advantage, little bit of a gold lead, and a little bit of prio on top side too.
Yeah, a pretty big mistake there from On. I don't really know what he expected. We talked about how they would have theoretical 3v3 pressure if they wanted to try to go for that, but Shadow, of course, able to make that roam quickly. It didn't matter. They lost the 2v2. On was dead before he even had a chance. He gets chunked out early. Again, just a mistake coming in from the BLG bot lane. We've seen a couple of these. It's a great job capitalizing specifically from Jwei. But with Dragon spawning, you know, Infernal going to be the first Drake here. Going to be interesting to see if Beishwan now wants to prioritize that, seeing how things went on the top side. But Shadow is here as well.
Just waiting for the big CC change. H1 has hit level 6. Shadow's going to be getting closer, but level 6 is really where things start to turn on for BLG. A lot of these combinations can be a recipe for disaster for FPX, who do have a little bit of a different take on how they move into this mid game. You definitely want to keep Sheer in those side lanes, trying to keep as much advantage onto Gwen as possible. Beishwan going to move in, speaking of advantage, and take away Shadow's blue buff, and Sheer is being pressured in bot side.
Yeah, Shadow is
going
to be in a little bit of a tough spot here. Sheer, is he going to be able to make it out?
Is he going to flash for it? Oh, he's not going to go for it, but Knight will, and they get him in the end. That's a missed impale, though, and Knight will be locked down, seismic shoved, and taken out as a response by FPX. Everything that BLG do has been answered to by FPX and vice versa, as Awesome will use that culling in topside. Elk not level 6 just yet. TP coming in mid, being a bit surrounded by BLG. It looks like things should go down a little bit more calmly, but we're going to have to pick up pressure as Elk getting in trouble here. But Awesome, he tanked the turret, going to have to flash and barrier. Both summoner spells for both ADCs down. Grubs are up. The fight is on the verge here.
So many resources burned before Grubs even spawn. This is the fun little adaptation, I guess, that we are seeing from these teams. They're not delaying any of their fight timers. They're just delaying when they can actually start these objectives. But BLG gonna gain that pressure because Awesome on the top side just expends everything to try that tower dive onto Elk. Jwei's gonna flash in. He's gonna be able to get into the pit.
Now that there's only 3 Grubs spawning, it is super incredibly important to try to get as many as possible. Actually, the feet knock actually goes through for 2 out of 3. So FPX should be able to claim that one as well and get the first one on their way to trying to secure the feats of strength here. But FPX moving in. BLG did get the 1. But this is a little bit of that timer change. I feel like maybe teams a little bit more used to utilizing some of their abilities, utilizing some of their resources earlier, and offsetting that timer now that we do spawn at 8 minutes for the first Grubs.
Definitely seemed like a little bit of a slow adaptation more so what we saw on the previous patch, but a lot of resources burned only for the grubs to be more of a minor objective there for both of these teams. I was expecting a bigger fight. That being said, the gold lead is basically neutral. Again, I want to reiterate, I think the longer this stays neutral, the better this is for BLG because of that wombo combo they have. If they can find the perfect fight, I think that could go in their favor. Checking in on these lanes, though, I don't have time because we got to fight now.
She was pretty strong here. Seismic shove coming down. Equalizer in. Beituan getting low. Beituan going down. Kare's going to get the kill there, but now Knight comes in and gets his own. On to Shadow. The death mark will mark you, Shadow, and you will go down. A double kill to Knight, who on his first competitive Zed is trying to pick up BLG.
Yeah, and Awesome also dies in the bot lane in the 2v2. That's a massive swing in favor of Bilibili Gaming. It's a really aggressive play coming in from them. The Impale coming out from Beituan to really set that up. But Knight getting the double kill there. 3 kills now onto the Zed. It doesn't take much for this champion to start snowballing. This might be the push that he needs in order to be really a game breaker throughout a lot of this. But I think this is a big play in terms of tempo for BLG. We'll see if they want to prioritize the Dragon now. Beituan on the bottom side. But we're going to get a replay of what exactly happened in the 2v2. See who initiated this. Just Jwei being a little bit far behind. Awesome tries to dash beyond it, just doesn't get it, and way too much damage. Yeah, just a bit of a misplay coming in there. Over-aggressiveness.
Survived for a little bit, but yeah, On's like, no, you're done.
he forced the ultimate out. That's something from the recon.
Oh, yeah,
so,
Hopium.
you know, we take whatever win we can get in an exchange
Hopium
like
or
that.
Copium, whichever one you want.
Yeah.
Voltaic has been completed there. For Knight, so he's gonna have a nice little burst of damage in his first item completion. Roa also there, so first items, does that change the state of these fights whatsoever as we see BLG potentially starting up the first dragon?
I do. I do think it changes these fights quite a bit. If Knight gets on any priority target, that's an instant win for BLG. However, I do think that FPX have more combat power here than you might originally think, and we'll see if they want to even try to utilize it. It should just be Dragon for free here to BLG. Obviously, Shadow not in a position to try and contest this. He's just going to get as much pressure on the top side. But Knight...
Oh, he gets the seismic shove guess there, at least on top of him. Now Grand Starfall came in, and Knight, you cannot get away from CC. Shadow takes him down, and honestly... Shadow has had Knight's number all game long.
Yeah, we might not be done here. Awesome. With the culling. Looked like Shadow was trying to make his way down, and they were trying to, maybe bait in a fight there, but just didn't have the time. Could find it here, though, if Jwei wants to go in. Doesn't look like it's going to be. It looks like it's just going to be a little bit of a dance, but that's exactly what we were talking about. The catch in the mid lane, where I think it's sneaky just how strong FPX are here, but prove it, potentially.
I love as the Pokies hovering around this bot lane 3v3. Shadow's had a really good response to a lot of Beituan's early movements, and really that comfort between these two, Shadow and Care, coming alive here early in game number 1. But BLG trying to put the screws to Shadow, go into his jungle, steal away his blue again. A lot of the time he has not been able to secure his own jungle camps. And we're gonna fight over a double knock up from On. Bullet time and into the Impale, into all the damage, but Shadow still gets the kill back. Has that execution damage, but now Awesome in trouble as Knight gets knocked up. 3-man from Jwei, but it did not matter. Out with the pop shot flash. He gets him and now is running down Care. Care able to get away, but BLG shows some of that fighting strength.
It's great execution from BLG. They get a big part of that wombo combo off, the Impale into the bullet time to set that up. We talked about how this ultimate, combination from BLG is so dangerous. It's so scary for FPX, and that's what makes it so funny that they're willing to fight over the blue buff in this small, closed quarter. We're going to get a replay here. This is LPL action. This is On engaging, Beituan following up, and just really creating a difficult situation for FPX. Shadow, to his credit, tries to do as much as he can. Awesome as well, trying to put out some damage, but Knight is just a little too much on this Zed. Donating those kills early to the mid laner ends up really paying off for BLG, and man, Elk getting aggressive again is what we want to see, but we're already seeing trading again.
Yeah, he wants to take him down now. Awesome, really on the back foot in this matchup, and once Misfortune gets a little bit going, the mid game is where she thrives. And now with the composition built the way they have, right? Like all Beituan has to do is hit R at the right time on the right people, or at least just a couple people, and they can absolutely change a lot of these fights. And I think that's a really nice bar of execution to give a new jungler on a team full of superstars, on a team that also isn't living up to those expectations and is looking to turn things around.
Yeah, that's exactly why we highlighted in draft that BLG's comp was easier to execute on, because you've got that backup plan of you need to hit one of them, and you can probably follow with the rest. FPX need to start playing the map a bit more. You're not out of this by any means just yet. Pantheon Talia is still very dangerous if you can catch with Gwen or Lucian. Shadow and Care need to stay active on the map. You will be able to secure the red buff here, but we've got 18 seconds on Rift Herald spawning. That's going to be the next big objective that these teams are going to fight over, but it could be a collapse onto Bin.
Bin realizes he's in a lot of trouble. Grand Starfall Spear comes through. There's the Weaver's Wall as well, and Bin all by himself at night wants to clean up for his brother in the solo lane. Maybe it's just enough. Seismic Shove is no longer available for Care. Now Care might be that focus, but Beituan, he wants to set up for the Impale. He gets one. Is it going to be enough? They don't go with the bullet time just yet. Elk holds on to it, patient as ever. Wait to see the whites of their eyes as now BLG are looking forward. Shadow's going to get that re-engaged. Is awesome. Can't get the kill on the side. Elk is stepping up, making it rain all over FPX and putting out that fire of the Phoenix.
Oh, it looked like it could be just right for FPX in that fight. It could have been finally their time to find a pick. Of course, it's a proactive play. That's what we wanted to see from FPX, but unfortunately, BLG is able to make the rotation pretty quickly. Awesome, just not able to land the culling on the priority target. So many members low, and he ends up basically full hitting the half-health Skarner rather than any of the low target Shadow, though.
No, it's way too late.
Oh, I was really getting spicy there.
That would have been fun. Was maybe looking for the steal. Isn't going to go for it. Now we go back to this fight setup in the top side. Trying to punish onto Bin. They do end up getting that initial punishment, but they pay heavy for it.
Yeah, once Knight gets here, it becomes a lot more difficult because the Zed can instantly burst down Sheer, and that damage is now just gone. It's obviously a great collapse coming in from the rest of the team. The Impale could have been okay for FPX. It only lands onto the Alistar, which is definitely best case scenario, but you can see Awesome in this fight. Just getting zoned out by Beituan. He wants to get in there. Look at the low health bars of On. Not able to take down the Skarner, and then the damage coming through, he just doesn't have enough to pop them through the rest of the fight. The Lucian had potential to take over there. It doesn't end up happening, but BLG just taking these small leads over and over again, and a 5-kill Zed, a 3-kill Skarner, and a Rumble that's up 20 CS. Definitely going in their favor, even if FPX has now got the priority on the Dragon.
Yeah, it looks like BLG just going to take the back foot here, give this Dragon over, let it even up in the Dragon score. And that being said, it will just mean that they will trade this topside turret to Knight, giving some more gold to this guy on Zed of all picks. Getting closer and closer to second item. BLG still do have some standing gold, but they're not going to be standing for long in mid lane as they're getting knocked up, bounced around. A little bit of a rebuttal. 3-man Impale and Beituan. He just needs to deliver for his big carries. Is he enough, though, as now he's being sliced up as well, and Sheer is finding some big picks across these fights. Now he's about to be shut down. Deathmark goes out. The pop is not going to be enough as FPX find the rebuttal in mid lane.
Ooh, that's exactly what FPX was looking for. Shadow. Oh my god, how did he not respect the damage coming in? Ridiculous there, but still a good fight overall for FPX, even if we do have a little bit of a sour taste in our mouths after that play. You know, we've been talking about it. FPX have to stay aggressive. They have to stay active. You can say a lot about how Shadow has played this game, but he has definitely not been scared, and you can see that with the gold lead he's generated in the jungle. We'll see the angle that they see here. Again, just utilizing those globals and being able to prioritize Jwei, having that full flash up. Just not enough collapse here yet. If Knight's not going to be here, this is a winnable fight, even with the Impale. Everything going right for BLG. It looked miraculous, but just not enough damage.
They didn't have the wombo. Or I guess they didn't have the combo to the wombo. Beituan was dancing by himself.
Yes. Yeah, you can't dance without the music, you know? And that's unfortunately what we saw there. Shadow went for it, and just the fadeaway turret shot to make his day a little worse. But that Pantheon's now sitting at 2 items. It's not, I mean, I hate to say it for BLG, it's not over. Like, you're not in full control. FPX still has options here, and I think as long as they keep that priority going, but they are going to use the Rift Herald here to take down that tier 1 bomb.
might look for a double charge. Okay, Base One's gonna try to go to mid lane. Let's
Drift
see.
King.
Would he be a king on Scion Speedway? Here he goes. They're gonna try to stop him. The charge is gonna go through, but he's in trouble now. He is a Skarner, so he's gonna back out now as they go for the instant hit, but they left Care. Care's still there, guys. As now they're running down Elk. They say you have to pay for what Care had to pay for himself. It'll be the 1-for-1 trade again, and that's been a theme of the game so far.
Looked a little goofy from FPX, but it ends up being fine. Overall, a 1-for-1 trade certainly not bad when the Misfortune has so much gold on the other side. Another kill going over to Shadow. That's 6 for this Pantheon. It's a 1.1k gold lead for him individually in his matchup, but they're not done.
Oh, Awesome actually tanked the turret first, so he had to back off in that initial one. They did end up taking the turret anyways, though, so that'll still be a good boon for them. Unfortunately, though, BLG has taken that first turret, so they won't get targeted for that. They won't get the feats of strength just yet, and we continue to go ever forward in a match where both teams have a lot of importance on this series going into the second round robin. But more importantly now, it's about FPX trying to pull back this gold lead that BLG has accrued for themselves with a lot of comfort that has worked for them in the past.
My worry for FPX as we go further on in this game is just, it just takes one mistake. Your comp needs so much more execution than BLG's does at this point. The Pantheon Talia can create a lot throughout the map, and they can find these picks pretty consistently, but you get caught by one Impale or a Recon engage, or even just you get, jumped on by Zed, it becomes a lot more difficult. So you see Bejuan prioritizing an objective here.
So this is the Thornbound at a con, gives you that nice explosive damage. Shadow maybe looking for a Grand Starfall, they're not going to go for it. So actually a pretty big objective to just give over to BLG when they are ahead, and especially for FPX when you are that team that we've mentioned time and time again, needs to be in a good position. Giving that over to BLG is going to empower them ever so much, and because of that, they did get the feats of strength as well. So a nice little power boost coming through for Bilibili.
A little surprised to see FPX not try to contest that. I think this new Atacon is pretty strong. I think the pop that you get as the extra bonus is really valuable. We saw that in the first series for for WE, but I definitely think it's interesting. I understand FPX's reservations of wanting to take a 5v5 right now, but I think the more you give over to BLG, the harder this becomes, and the feats of strength going over, and having this extra bonus now just for a bit of extra damage to break through, it's becoming harder and harder for them to win a fight as we go along.
Oh, awesome. Wants the fight here now as they try to catch out BLG in transition out of that mid lane. Throwing up the Suiting logo. I love to see it. A little bit of the throwback across multiple members on these teams. And now we're going to take a look at this dragon setup. It would be second dragon for either side. BLG, again, I think they realize that they're in a good position to kind of keep this scaling going for themselves. And FPX going to try to push the tempo and get their second dragon, as it will be seeded by BLG.
Yeah, I don't think BLG minds too much to give over this second dragon. It's really not a priority for them. I think their big priority here, obviously Baron spawning in 2.5 minutes, is going to be establishing pressure on the top side. They're going to do that by trading a tier 1 bot lane for a tier 2 top lane.
Huge.
Certainly not a bad trade for BLG. Shadow's got to start playing, though. As I say that, we get a fight.
Knight's going to get exhausted by Sheer, but Sheer's still going to pop. Knight is going to potentially get... Oh, look at the speed. He's going to flash out. Knight with the moves. 7-3 on his first competitive Zed. And the man is saying, this is my time now. As he's going to get that outplay. Now BLG want to keep going. They want to keep the fight going on his Shadow. He's going to Grand Starfall out. Nobody can stop him. He throws out the emote just for the BM.
Oh my god, Knight, he's styling on him at this point. 7-3-3 on the first ever Zed. Just a disgusting play to be able to 1v1 this Gwen. We're going to see the full exchange here, but there's some poke going down. I'm interested to see, it's just Knight full engaging, and at this point the Zed is so strong. This is through exhaust. It doesn't even matter, and then the brilliant escape here. This is the problem, just perfectly flashing the Q and being able to get out of there. That's Knight back in form, and that's a scary thought for FPX, but BLG's not even done.
Shadow gonna tank it up for Awesome, but the Impale might just be a little bit more than Shadow expected. Knight gets another kill there as he comes in, trying to look for even more under turret here. BLG, they're vibing as they take that big pig. Now they can look into Shadow's jungle too. Oh, Jwei is way overextended. He's going to pop that Unbreakable. Maybe by the time it gets base one flashes out of the seismic shove, buys so much space for BLG, and now Sheer's going to have to dash over the wall and get away. BLG looking very consistent in a lot of their direction in these fights. The mark of death is back up if Knight wants to take the engage, but they'll just take the scraps that FPX left in the jungle.
This is a completely different team than what we saw against FPX the first time they played this week. They are so much more comfortable now playing the map than they were even earlier, you know, this week, even just a couple of days ago. It's so fun to see. We talked about the vibes kind of being off for BLG. I think it's fair to say the vibes felt a little off at the beginning of the split for them. They're not off anymore. It feels like this team is very, very much in their own bag right now, and we're seeing them push the limits of the map and feel comfortable taking almost any exchange. These exchanges never end, and that favors BLG. Well, it's gonna have to flash.
Sometimes all it takes is a change of environment, and for some reason that's seemingly a trend for BLG. So I don't know what goes on in the structure, the organization, things like that, but it just feels like these changes reinvigorate the squad in a lot of ways. And I know even there was a lot of hubbub about, oh, Maokai got fired. The interesting approach is that they are doing something very unique in the fact that they are having one coach focus on game one, another coach focus on game two, and vice versa going through the series to really give themselves a different perspective from the coaching staff side and the kind of drafts they can approach with. And so maybe this is an interesting iteration to see Knight on the Zed, but maybe it's this kind of new iteration of BLG where they're trying to flex their muscles a little bit more, and that invigoration is working out.
It's really cool to see how teams have adapted to Fearless, but we'll be seeing more aggression here. On and Knight are very deep. They're very safe, though.
Knight's fine. I'm a little worried for On.
Yeah. I think they're going to be all right.
He's trying to live his best Zed life himself. Oh, God, Shadow. He's going to block a ton of it, but now he gets impaled into the fight, and Ben going to cut off the choke point and the bullet time on top of it. Beitwan leading the flag of BLG into FPX is now Knight will just get himself out as it's a pop onto Awesome. Sheer's gonna get one back. Knight's waiting to take down the young FPX top laner, and a double kill comes through. Triple kill, rather, for Elk as BLG go to the Baron.
It's just a disaster for FPX. Again, a fight that looks like it theoretically could be okay. BLG so far forward. You do get the exhaust down on tonight. You're trying to, you know, stifle him as much as possible. It doesn't matter. When you give 10 kills to a Zed, you start to do some damage. That bullet time was gorgeous from Elk. He followed up on that incredibly well. We're gonna see it here. You know, I think the original thought is like, we gotta catch them. We absolutely have to get on them here, because if we don't, we're just gonna bleed out. You know, the teleports are going to be coming in here as we get to the back half of the fight. But the moment that this Impale comes down and Shadow gets locked up, it's very difficult here. Jwei tries to salvage it by flashing in, but doesn't actually land anything. And you could say from this point onwards, it becomes a little bit more difficult again. Even through the exhaust, that damage is just too much for Awesome. And FPX, in a last-ditch effort, ends up, unfortunately, coming out on the wrong side of that and just really ceding full control to BLG.
And a team like BLG is not one to lose that control. Even if we have seen some fluctuation from them, a lot of the time it's because the game gets way out in front of them. We still see a lot of consistency from BLG, especially since these last couple games in the last series last night or 2 nights ago, and then now seeing as well that FPX series earlier and seeing the differences that we end up seeing from this roster, from this team. And it was through a lot of facilitation for Beitwan. I mean, he was early active, and playing between some of the greatest stars the LPL has to offer seems to pay off.
As we see them starting to siege down this tier 2 with that Baron buff. Should be pretty free for them. We see Knight by himself in the mid lane, but there's no collapse possible for FPX. Shadow's going to be looking, but...
He realizes he can't do it because of the Edge of Night.
Oh, and Beitwan is here.
His entire combo is just done. He can't do anything. The Impale will go out. It will miss, though, as the tier 2 tower falls. Nothing for BLG to really play back towards. They still have their big combo available just without the Impale.
We talked about it in Draft Mazel. We said that BLG were going to be pretty scary in terms of how this comp was in the late game. I think they've lived up to that billing. But one thing I'm really going to be watching out for is where exactly do they want to try and find their engages. They were really patient in Game 3 yesterday to be able to take down Weibo. I want to see if that patience extends to this game here. I still think that they can get away with being a bit more aggressive in this one, but Awesome might be the one trying to pull the trigger here.
Yeah, very close there to getting that one going.
No damage. Absolutely no
love
damage coming in from the culling on the
Dude,
Lucian.
What's so crazy, and we have, I mean, it's a 10,000 gold lead. BLG are going to be finishing this one out easily, man. We might even see that here. It's awesome. It's just dying to the burn, and Knight just comes to finish him off. But this team literally played on a completely different patch. Just their last series, they won that one, and now they come out swinging in the first series for them on this new patch, on the complete change of Summoner's Rift. And they come out with a Z for Knight and an absolute smashing performance against FPX.
It's just a dominant victory in every aspect. I give credit to FPX. They understood that they had to try to make plays, but when you're going up against the Titans that are BLG, it's hard, and On's going to try and seal the deal here.
And try to get that last thing in. Beitwan doesn't have any mana, but the bullet time has come back up. Not going to be able to finish the game off just yet. The inhib in mid lane will fall, though, and BLG back away with 2 inhibs taken.
Yeah, I think it's delaying the inevitable for FPX here as their base has been broken wide open, but with everybody coming back up, it's the wise decision to back off and, you know, recoup here, but I just want to give a ton of props to BLG, because again, I don't even think FPX like misunderstood the assignment or anything of that nature. I think they understood that Shadow and Care needed to try and find picks. Shadow had a pretty decent early game trying to match Beishwan, but that one fight appropriately for the LPL around that blue buff really ended up going south for them pretty quick. That gave a little bit too much gold over to BLG, and the moment that Knight started to get fed, we saw it in the side lane, we saw it in team fights. There's no way to shut down this Zed. Knight is back in MVP level form, and we're talking about one of the best players in LPL history. But we actually see On here?
No, yeah, On's in a lot of trouble. He's going to try to get out. Does dodge away.
That's
Quickness
bad for
is going to help him.
FPX.
Beitwan going for the Impale combo. It's not up for 8 seconds, though, so he's waiting to buy his time. And Knight just finishing the job without it. Says, you can just be my mannequin and stand there and pose for me, as he's going to find even more. Bin cleans up the back half. A triple kill for Gigabin as BLG back-to-back days on different patches. They won last night, and they're looking to go to match point in this series.
Utter dominance. Absolutely brilliant from BLG. They dominate the fight, they dominate the game, and they'll take it here.
Spirit Blossom just seems to work, I guess, for BLG, but Knight's Zed, 11-3 on it. The first competitive Zed we've seen from this guy. And coming out to lead BLG with Beitwan under tow, with those combinations we saw from them. And at this point, I don't know if it's necessarily Beitwan or a symptom of what happens when you get a new jungler. Something's different with this BLG team.
They are playing. They have shown up to play some League of Legends now.
Playing
and
League
I'm
of Legends
really,
all right.
Oh yeah, I think that they are executing, and that's just, it's what we want to see. We didn't want to see BLG struggle. We don't want to see them at 5-5, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. We want to see this team dominate. They came out here and dominated. Again, I think FPX understood the assignment. They understood what they were supposed to try and do. BLG was so much better in this game in almost every aspect. They really played the map well. I think they understood that their crazy pick of the Zed really needed to get accelerated, and the moment that they were able to get that online, they started taking a ton of fights in close quarters to really enable the equalizer bullet time combo, and everything really just fell into place after that.
Yeah, the ease of execution just makes it easy for a lot of our biggest stars to have great plays. And I have to give a heartfelt shout out to both teams. I know, and I'll probably be saying this for the rest of the night to every team, but these are professional organizations. These are players that play this on a daily basis. They literally just got dropped into a completely new patch. Literally today, when BLG just played yesterday, and I just have to say, like, the prep is definitely difficult for these teams. And I think BLG definitely tried to throw a wrench into the works, and FPX didn't really have an answer for it with that Zed pick in mid against the Talia. And that was a matchup that I really wanted to focus on tonight in combination with the jungle, and especially the new combination between Beitwan and Knight. I think it's a powerful one to move forward, and I want to see them play towards that a little bit more as well.
A lot of comfort coming in from BLG. The Skarner worked yesterday. Why would it not work today? Who cares if it's a new patch? The Impales are going to be effective no matter the situation.
It's still the same ability.
Yes, and I think the thing that worries me for FPX when you talk about the mid-jungle is that they got comfort in game number 1. Pantheon Talia is their most played mid-jungle duo, and they were not able to pick up the win on that. You can see the gold difference over time, the gold graph there just exponentially getting worse over the course of that game. But shockingly, it was actually Elk and Bin to be topping the charts here. Not shockingly for Elk, but definitely expected Bin to be a little bit lower. That's the rumble for you there. But overall, just everything you want to see from BLG.
Bin's rumble deserves its flowers as well. There was once a time, not long ago, where Bin's rumble was not looked at in good light. But after the international performances and being a little bit more consistent on the pick, it's definitely one of his powerhouse picks now. And it was just, again, a really good kind of combo that BLG were going for. Very clear in draft, and the execution followed. And now going into a game 2, you have to expect FPX is going to be on the blue side. They got comfort. I think the biggest thing that maybe went awry that could have changed the game a little bit in their favor was that bot lane setup and the fact that Elk did go up early in the Misfortune matchup, which led them to have a lot more priority in a lot of these fights. So maybe getting something a little bit more consistent for Awesome in that bot lane 2v2 and for Jwei.
Yeah, we said it a bit in the pregame here, but hyper carries, I think that they're playable right now, and if you want Awesome to feel a little bit more comfortable down on the bottom side of the map, there are a lot of hyper carries that, you know, he has performed well on and played already over the course of this split, whether that be the Jinx. You can even go really crazy for something like Kog'Maw if you really wanted to do that. I know some people are really buying in right now. I'm not saying that I'm buying the stocks, but I know some people are excited, but there are options available. I'm just going to be curious to see what they want to prioritize early in the draft. I would imagine they want to try and take away some of these bigger combos. Something that I think Shadow would feel very comfortable on would be maybe like a Sejuani Yone. Would really expect to see that prioritized, but overall, it's just got to be something you feel like you can tempo with, because the big problem in this game was them losing early on a comp that needed to tempo early, and the moment that they lost that pressure, the Wombos came in and the team fights came in. They couldn't really stand back up after that.
Yeah, they could not. There was no ground to stand on. It had been taken out from under them, and it does come from a place where FPX were a little bit of kind of the underdog in this series. Even with those recent changes to BLG, it's still a stacked roster, and it's still a roster we expect to be able to show up on the day if they are feeling it. And FPX now even more so have their backs against the wall, because they are the ones that beat BLG earlier this week. Just on Monday, they faced off and ended up taking them down 2-1. But it is a different beast tonight, apparently. And the second round robin hit a bit different for FPX.
I think I'm excited to see the adaptations from FPX. They've been pretty good in best of threes in terms of making changes and being able to build upon series. They've had a lot of 2-1 comebacks, and so I'm certainly not counting FPX out. This is a team that has upset the odds multiple times already. They went to 3 games against BLG earlier in the week when they beat them, so definitely not saying that it's over, but they definitely need to kick it into gear now.
Yeah, trying to find a little bit of jungle matchup that's going to work out for Shadow to potentially have more of a say in the setup of team fights for FPX as well, because Beitwad is looking good when he does that, and maybe a little bit more presence on the Vi and things along those lines in the second game as well with those bans. But now we got to think about MVP. It has to go tonight. If it doesn't go tonight, I'm going to be really upset. I'm going to be upset. Spaghetti.
I don't think there's even a conversation to be had here. If it's not Knight on Zed, then I don't think we were watching the same game.
Hey, I met that guy.
Hey!
I got to meet 957 when I went to Xi'an. It was really cool. He's so nice. Oh my God. He is so nice. He showed us the entire stadium. It was so cool.
Yeah.
No!
Beautiful
right, I'm off. I'm gone. Bye. See ya. Sorry. Nope. Nope. I'm not coming back.
I don't know what to say.
I'm not coming back.
Well, you see what you've done, LPL broadcast? You've broken Mazel. You've broken Mazel.
Nice first to Zed? Come on! Are you kidding me? Whatever. It's fine. Beitwan, he's the hotness. He's the new guy. Whatever. Not biased whatsoever.
The Impales were great. You know, I think some great setups there. You certainly can give them some credit.
No,
entirely
Kman. Robbed. We're going to break. We'll see you for game number 2, but we'll see fun, hopefully, in game number 2.